I'm wondering how much that played into it being okay for him to use Hela as a beard, it being, it feeling okay to kind of use people in that way. And I say it like that because I'm still trying to figure it out. I haven't
I
figured it out
listen,
yet.
when I finished it a little bit ago, I was just like, I have to go back and read this again. Okay, but you brought up a good point, or it made me think about so his father's relationship with women was super disposable. Like, even the
Yeah.
aunt was just like, I wonder if he knows about you and your women. And David was just like, well, I never thought about it until she actually said so.
Until now, right.
Exactly. And then like seeing how he had never really experienced life with his birth mom, but his aunt was like the one, his father used his aunt to take care of house and home.
Yeah.
Like the women were the people who kind of like held it all together. And
And his father got to just, I'm sorry, and scream and be drunk and yell, or, whatever the case may
party.
be. I mean, eventually his dad got married though. So I wonder how much gallivanting was there, that, like, was it dramatized gallivanting from Ellen's part, or because I'm thinking again about time period and just her thinking, as a man, you need a wife, you need a home, you need these things because that's what makes a man a man. Even thinking about Hella towards the end, I want someone to let me be, a woman and let me be a wife and let me cook. Like,
I was so
there's so much happening. So there's so much happening. I'm like, where the hell is the power in that? So
exactly. I was like,
I
Helen,
don't
I was
know.
rooting for you until now.
I didn't root for her then because she knew, even before the end, where she was like, yeah, I always knew, before she caught him in the gay bar, I guess, like, went to go rescue him. It's like, okay, so you knew this about him, and you were willing to. So that just brings me back to, like, this idea that David has about the relationship between men and women, and kind of how people are allowed to treat other people are allowed to respond to other people, to respond to things. But that still doesn't answer my question about, like, where his shame came
Comes
from.
from.
Yeah.
But a lot of those ideals about like women were reinforced from the friends that he was with. Like hearing Giovanni talk about women so violently, and like who else talked about it? I think all of them talked about it.
Got it at some
And
point. Yeah, when they were in the bar.
yeah,
They were all in the bar. Yeah. Um, but I think it was a hatred for women. These were also men who used women to cover up something deeper within them, whether this was, again, Giovanni at home back in Italy, with, whatever the case may be. From what I read, he got this woman pregnant. They had a family, baby was born, stillborn, and then his life fell apart. And even that, I'm actually trying to understand more of, like, his story in that in between portion. Um, and then you have David, who's using Hela as a beard, and then Jacques and Guillaume, who are, like, I guess, these richer, older, men, in Paris, and have these random relationships with women who own, run bars and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think I think they hate women, for being able to be so, whether that's feminine or open or, whatever the case may be. But it makes me think about, what about gay women?
well, I mean,
Or, like, how do we know?
yeah,
Yeah.
but we heard what David thought about trans women.
That was I had to close the book for a second. It was a little,
I was
it was
just
a
like,
little
how much
heavy.
is this is Dave? How much of this is David and not James Baldwin? It really like made me think.
But I mean, I think, if anything, more of maybe what James Baldwin was hearing,
Mm-hmm.
especially being a Black man in Paris. I'm sure that wasn't easy, and I know he speaks a lot on that, like, in interviews and stuff. But I just, I don't know. There's this hatred almost for something that they want. He was making a home for David, Giovanni, I mean, making a home for David, doing all of this for you, almost embodying feminine, I guess,
Yeah.
qualities or whatever the case may be, while also hating on it at the same time, in a sense. I don't know. I don't know if they hated their bodies that they were trapped in with these feelings, or maybe like the inability to express?
I think it's the latter, especially when I go back to like David's like what do you call it, monologue, dialogue in his head about like the trans women in the bar. Like you're jealous of them. I was just like, oh, so this is what it is. You're jealous that they are free and they're not burdened the way you are.
And my thing is why?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I couldn't get it out of my head. Like you're so angry.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's just because being in school and, you know, you're learning clinical stuff and you have to learn how to, you know, sometimes have empathy for the person who does the shitty thing in order to help them and blah, blah, blah. But like, what happened to you? You know, like literally, like what happened
Yeah, you
that
have
was
such
so
a privileged existence. Like I don't see a struggle.